You know, I was sitting with my coffee this morning, watching the sun come up through my window, and I was thinking about all the times I thought I had life figured out. All the times I made lists in my head about what I needed, what I wanted, what made sense. And how many of those lists did God just quietly set aside? Not to punish me, not to confuse me, but because He was writing something better than I could imagine with my limited vision. I want to talk to you today about something that might be stirring in your heart right now, something that doesn't make sense on paper, something that maybe even scares you a little because it doesn't fit the picture you drew for yourself. Maybe you're feeling drawn to someone who isn't what you expected. Maybe they're older than you thought you'd consider, or younger, and people around you have opinions about that. Maybe they don't fit the image you've carried since you were young, the type you always said you'd end up with. Maybe they're quieter than you imagined, or louder, or they come from a different background, or they've lived a life you didn't think would intersect with yours. And now you're standing at this crossroads, wondering if what you're feeling is real, or if you're just confused. Let me tell you something I've learned, not from a book, but from walking this road and watching God work in ways I didn't predict. God doesn't consult our preferences when He's orchestrating purpose. He doesn't check our list of requirements before He brings the right person into our path. And age, that number we put so much weight on, it doesn't limit what God has already decided in His wisdom. I'm not saying every attraction is from God, and I'm not saying you should ignore wisdom or discernment. But I am saying that sometimes the very thing that feels unexpected is exactly what God has been preparing you for all along. You remember the story of Ruth and Boaz? Ruth was a young widow, a foreigner, gleaning in the fields, just trying to survive. Boaz was an older man, established, respected, someone who could have chosen anyone. But there was something about the way God brought them together that had nothing to do with what made sense socially. It had everything to do with character, with timing, with a purpose bigger than either of them could see. Ruth didn't go looking for someone outside her age range or her culture. She was just faithful where she was planted. And Boaz didn't wake up one day and say, "I think I'll pursue someone unexpected." He saw something in her that reflected the heart of God, and he moved with integrity and honor. Nobody around them could have predicted that from their union would come the lineage of King David, and eventually, Jesus himself. That's the thing about God's plans. They're not just about making us happy, though He cares deeply about our joy. They're about weaving our lives into a story that carries kingdom purpose, legacy, and a love that reflects His own nature. So when you feel something for someone who doesn't match your type, don't dismiss it just because it surprises you. Don't let fear or other people's judgments become louder than the still small voice that's been guiding you all along. I've seen it happen so many times. People who swore they'd never date someone older, and then God brings someone with the wisdom and stability they didn't even know they were craving. People who thought they needed someone flashy and exciting, and then God brings someone steady and kind, someone who sees them and stays. People who built walls around age gaps, and then experienced a love so genuine and Christ-centered that the number of years between them became irrelevant compared to the depth of connection. The world will always have something to say. People will always have opinions about who you should be with, how you should love, what makes sense. But you are not called to live according to the world's scorecards. You're called to walk in the light of God's truth. And that truth says His ways are higher than ours. His thoughts are not our thoughts. In Isaiah, God reminds us of this, that just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are His ways higher than our ways. And when you really sit with that, it takes the pressure off. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to make someone fit into a box you created when you were younger and didn't know what you really needed. You just have to be willing to trust that God sees what you can't. Now, I want to be very clear about something, because I'm not here to tell you that every feeling you have is a sign from heaven. Attraction alone isn't confirmation. butterflies in your stomach aren't prophecy. What I'm saying is this: when you feel something unexpected, bring it to God before you bring it to your friends, before you post about it, before you let anxiety take over. Sit with Him and ask, is this you, or is this just me? And then pay attention, not just to how you feel, but to the fruit. Does this person honor God? Do they treat you with respect? Do they encourage your growth or stunt it? Do they have integrity when no one's watching? Are they patient, kind, self-controlled? Because the right person, even if they're unexpected, will still reflect the character of Christ. They'll still align with the principles God has given us in His Word. And if they don't, then no matter how strong the attraction, you have your answer. But if they do, if this person is walking with God, if they're pursuing you with honor, if there's someone who builds you up and points you toward Jesus, then maybe, just maybe, the fact that they're not your usual type is exactly the point. Maybe God is expanding your heart. Maybe He's teaching you that love isn't about surface-level compatibility. It's about soul-deep alignment. Maybe He's showing you that the partner you need isn't the one you imagined, but the one He designed to walk beside you in this specific season, for this specific purpose. Let's talk about age for a minute, because I know that's weighing on some of you. You've met someone older or someone younger, and the gap feels significant. You're worried about what people will think, how it will look, whether it's appropriate. And I'm not going to pretend those concerns don't matter, because wisdom says we should consider the season of life someone is in, their maturity, their intentions. But here's what I also know: God is not bound by our cultural timelines. He doesn't see age the way we do. He sees hearts, purpose, readiness. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born, the child of promise. Sarah laughed at the idea because it seemed impossible, but God wasn't limited by their age. Moses was 80 when God called him to lead Israel out of Egypt. 80. When most people are thinking about slowing down, God said, "Now it's your time." And on the other side, David was just a boy when he was anointed king, too young in everyone else's eyes, but not in God's. Timothy was young when Paul told him, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity." So if God can use the old and the young, if He can bless unions that don't fit the world's expectations, why would we think He's limited when it comes to love? I'm not saying age doesn't matter at all. I'm saying it doesn't matter more than God's will. It doesn't override purpose. It doesn't cancel calling. And when two people are both seeking God, both mature in their faith, both walking in integrity, the years between them become part of the story, not a barrier to it. One person brings the perspective of experience, the other brings the passion of fresh vision. One has learned patience through time, the other has fire that hasn't been dimmed by cynicism. Together, if they're truly aligned, they balance each other in ways that same-age couples might not. I'm not romanticizing it. Every relationship takes work. Every partnership requires sacrifice and communication and humility. But I am telling you, don't disqualify something God might be blessing just because it doesn't look like what you expected. You know what the real enemy is here? It's not age, it's not preference, it's fear. Fear that you're making a mistake. Fear that people will judge you. Fear that it won't work out and you'll look foolish. Fear that maybe you're not hearing God right. And I understand that fear. I really do. But 2 Timothy 1:7 tells us, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So when fear starts whispering, you need to recognize that it's not the voice of your Father. God's voice brings peace, even when the path is unclear. God's voice brings courage, even when the choice is countercultural. God's voice brings clarity, maybe not all at once, but step by step as you walk in obedience. If you're watching this today and you're feeling torn, feeling like your heart is pulling you one direction and your logic is pulling you another, I want you to do something. Stop trying to figure it out on your own. Stop asking everyone around you what they think. Stop scrolling through forums and comment sections looking for permission. Get alone with God. Open your Bible, open your heart, and be honest with Him. Tell Him you're confused. Tell Him you're scared. Tell Him you don't know if this is Him or just your emotions. And then listen. Not for a loud booming voice, but for that gentle prompting, that peace that surpasses understanding, that confirmation that comes when you align your will with His. Proverbs says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." That's not a formula, it's a relationship. It's saying, "God, I don't have this figured out, but I trust you do. So I'm putting my hand in yours, and I'm going to walk forward one step at a time." And here's the beautiful part. When you do that, when you really surrender the outcome to Him, the pressure lifts. You stop trying to force things or control timelines. You stop obsessing over every sign and every feeling. You just walk in peace, knowing that what's meant for you won't miss you, and what's not meant for you won't destroy you when it doesn't work out. I've watched people marry their so-called type and end up miserable because they chose based on externals and ignored character. And I've watched people take a chance on someone unexpected and build marriages full of laughter, respect, and deep partnership. The difference wasn't the age or the background or the preferences. The difference was whether both people were submitted to God, whether they were willing to grow, whether they valued each other's souls more than their own comfort. If you found someone like that, someone who challenges you in the best way, someone who doesn't fit your list but fits your spirit, don't let the opinions of others rob you of what God might be doing. Seek counsel, yes, especially from people who know you and love God. But don't let fear, disguised as wisdom, keep you from stepping into something beautiful. And if you're the older one in this equation, don't let shame or insecurity tell you that you have nothing to offer. You are not too old to be loved well. You are not past your season. God can write new chapters at any age, and the wisdom you carry, the stability you've built, the faith you fought for, those are gifts, not disqualifications. If you're the younger one, don't let anyone make you feel naive or foolish for seeing value in someone with more years. Maturity isn't about age alone. It's about heart. And if your heart is drawn to someone who honors God and honors you, that's worth exploring. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who you love, as long as that love is healthy, honoring, and rooted in truth. I think sometimes we get so caught up in what makes sense that we forget that God specializes in the unexpected. He used a murderer named Moses to deliver a nation. He took a persecutor named Paul and made him the greatest missionary the world has ever known. He doesn't need our logic. He needs our obedience. He doesn't need our plans. He needs our trust. So today, I want to leave you with this. If God is stirring something in your heart that doesn't fit the mold, don't run from it, but don't rush into it either. Bring it to Him. Test it against His Word. Seek wisdom from people who carry His Spirit. And if, after all that, you still feel peace, if the door keeps opening, if the fruit is good, then maybe it's time to stop questioning and start walking. Stop waiting for it to make sense to everyone else. Stop waiting for permission from people who aren't living your life. Stop letting age or type or expectation keep you from the love God has prepared for you. Because here's the truth. What God has ordained, nothing can stop. Not age, not opinions, not fear, not past mistakes. If He has written your story to include this person, then all you have to do is show up with an open heart and a willing spirit. And if He hasn't, He'll make that clear too, and He'll protect you in the process. Either way, you can rest. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to keep your eyes on Jesus, keep your heart soft, and keep walking forward in faith. If this message spoke to you today, if it brought you some peace or clarity, I'd love for you to take a moment and share it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you're not already subscribed to the Angels Decode channel, consider joining us here. This is a space where we dive deep into faith, love, and the unexpected ways God works in our lives. Drop a comment below, just a simple word of encouragement or a prayer for anyone else who's navigating something unexpected. You never know who needs to hear that they're not alone. But most of all, I want you to walk away from this moment knowing that you are seen, you are loved, and your story is still being written by the hand of a faithful God. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't made a mistake. And whatever He's doing, even if it doesn't look like what you planned, it's going to be good. Trust Him. Trust the process. And trust that love, real love, the kind that reflects the heart of God, is worth every unexpected turn.